What's up, guys, and welcome back to the LivBtr podcast. I'm your host, Jay Ciano, CEO of Sabre Advisors. On today's episode, we have my friend Jodi Harrison Bauer, a two-time bikini champion, the owner of the Fearlessly Authentic podcast, and also formerly Jodi Fit. What Jodi proves every single day is that it's never too late to start something new. She continues to break boundaries and be an advocate for women of all ages to get the best and everything they can out of life. I hope you guys enjoy this episode with my friend Jodi Harrison Bauer.
I just wanna have peace. Pay for the bill, let them take my card, never see the receipt. Good health, we prize, but everybody around prosperity.
What's up, guys, and welcome to the LivBtr podcast. This is your host, Jay Ciano, and this is the show for people trying to optimize every area of their life. Let's go.
I just want to have peace.
Welcome to another episode of the LivBtr podcast. Today I have a special guest, Jodi Harrison Bauer. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here.
So first off, I discovered you on Instagram, which I'm sure is not surprising.
Okay.
And the minute that I saw what you were doing, I sent your Instagram profile to Dr. Gabrielle Lyon. And you guys connected.
Right.
And tell us about that. So you guys talked, you had her on your podcast.
Well, this is the weird story.
All right.
This is the weird story.
Yeah.
So I'm writing a book right now.
Okay.
And the publisher that I'm working with said to me, you should reach out to Dr. Gabrielle Lyon. She's a badass. She's kick-ass. You should reach out to her. And literally, when I went into my DMs, she had already reached out to me and said, I'd love to have you on my podcast. So weird, divine intervention, call it whatever. Anyway.
Or the Ciano effect.
Yes, exactly. It was so weird.
That's crazy.
So I just recently had her on my show in May. It was either April or May. And then she told me about you. And then we chatted and here I am. Yeah. And then you've been in contact with my daughter.
By the way, so recently, and I had no idea, and you just walked in here, us meeting for the first time, and said, you've been in contact with my daughter.
Crazy.
Which is crazy, and that's kind of how the universe works, and I feel like, for me personally, as I started to get healthier and focus on the good things for my own self-care, right? Like, I just started to really attract things into my life instead of previously thinking about and trying to chase things. And the minute I just started focusing on my self-care and really doing the right things, so to speak, everything started coming to me. So
well, I think that's the difference in fear and ego versus intuition. Fear and ego feel constrictive, hard decisions. Everything feels heavy, right? Whereas you have to control it, and then intuition is love, and it's just like this softness, and it just flows.
Yeah.
And I think that's
energy.
Yeah, it's energy.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we feel so constricted, we're not open to letting anything come in our way.
So, how old are you?
63.
I still find that hard to believe.
Thank you. Thank you. Even in person, hopefully.
No, definitely. And it's amazing because I feel like today, first off, I don't even know how old I am. I just show up in rooms and I feel like I'm the same age as the people around me,
right.
Which tend to be younger on
Totally.
in a lot of circumstances. And it's funny because as I'm approaching 50 and so focused on my daily non-negotiables and the things that I have to do to stay centered, not just physically but mentally. Again, you just attract this tribe of like-minded people who love to help each other, which is how we ended up here, right?
Right.
But let me just let me lead you into, so what occurred in your life that caused you to really focus on how you live now?
I have been doing this for 43 years. I have been lifting weights for 43 years.
Okay.
So it wasn't like a sudden change or anything. It was just always a part of my life. I gravitated towards it, and I always found myself lifting. And as far as the healthy lifestyle goes, as far as nutrition, because you can't just be lifting, working out if you're not fueling your body with the right food, which is when you see that person at the gym who's not transforming at all, but you see him or her there for 2 hours, you're like, why hasn't that person changed? It's because they're not eating the way they're working out. So after I had Alexis, the daughter we were just talking about, at 32, I sought out a coach. I said, I want to get into the best shape of my life. Now, I never had any weight issues, I could eat whatever I wanted my whole life.
You're blessed.
I was blessed like that. But at 32, I'd gained 45 pounds with my first one. She only weighed 515, and gained 35 with Lexi, and she only weighed 6'7". So I gained a lot of weight, took it off in 3 months, but now I knew I wasn't going to have any more children.
Right.
And I said, now it's time for me. So I hired this coach, and I learned all about macros and nutrition. And I was able to also share that with my clients at the time. And that I lost like 3 pounds, but like 5% body weight. And that's where the shift was the body fat, learning, understanding that. And from the time I was 32, so 33 years now, I've been eating like that.
So how do you eat? Like, take us into what your diet consists of.
I love breakfast. Do you love breakfast?
I don't eat breakfast. And that's why I'm asking, exactly.
You have to.
Yeah,
it's called breakfast. You break the fast. You've been fasting all night.
I intermittent fast.
No.
I know. So that's why I'm so happy that you're saying that.
Have you talked to Dr. Lyon about this?
Yeah, and she's not a fan of intermittent fasting.
No, neither am I.
You know what it is, though? For me, I have been very overweight. So for me, it's a body dysmorphic disorder. I lost my weight primarily early on through the Atkins diet. So something that worked really, really well for me at the time. And I've been able to be consistent about keeping the weight off by this regimen that I'm on. So it's very tough. As a result of intermittent fasting so long, I'm not hungry. That's more of the problem, but I need to feed my body to nourish to get to the next level.
To get to the next
100%.
level, especially as you get older.
Yeah.
So within an hour of waking, I eat. And I eat, like this morning I had like 5 egg whites, 1 egg on whole wheat toast, avocado, lettuce, tomato. Yeah. I mean, I eat the whole thing.
Yeah, so that's a normal meal for me. Like, I'll eat exactly that, but it won't be at
But I weigh
whatever
103.
time it is. Yeah, that's impressive. I'm like 165 now. I've been 250.
No, you look great.
I've been 250, so I know.
Wow.
So I'm almost 100 pounds under my highest weight.
Right, so you should be taking in about 160 grams of protein per day.
But
okay, so that's great.
Till 1 p.m.
Okay,
yeah.
We need to change that.
Yeah.
We really need to work on that.
Let's do it.
Okay, so then 3 to 4 hours later, I eat whether I'm hungry or not, because I know after 4 hours, my blood sugar is going to drop, and I need to fire up my metabolism. The whole idea with eating every 3 to 4 hours is eat before you're hungry, so you don't grab things that are not healthy for you.
Sure.
The problem with most women that I see is that they eat too much of the bad stuff. They don't eat enough of the good stuff. Once I start putting the good stuff into them and taking away some of the bad stuff, their body transforms. Your body cannot transform from where you are to fit unless you're eating enough lean protein.
Yeah.
Bottom line, period.
And do you, speaking of Gabrielle, do you eat animal proteins?
Yes.
As well as, what does your diet consist of?
I eat chicken, fish, eggs. Don't be afraid of bread.
Steak, not so much?
I'll eat a burger. I don't like the texture of steak.
Yeah.
So I'll eat a burger like maybe twice a month.
Okay.
I'm not averse to anybody eating red meat as long as it's lean and it's in their portion size. So portion size is really important too. I don't sit down and eat. I can't eat like an 8-ounce steak.
Right.
I mean, a burger. That's just too much for me. So yes, I eat animal protein, but my shakes are plant-based.
Okay.
I got away from whey protein.
A lot of people tend to be getting away
really bad
from
gas.
whey. Yeah.
It was bloating me.
Yeah.
I just didn't feel good.
Okay.
So I used that sometimes as a meal, but I do like to eat whole foods.
Okay.
I like the idea of chewing my meals.
Sure.
I like that. When I drink a shake, just mentally, I don't feel full.
Yeah.
But I will drink it post-workout if that's all I have available.
Yeah.
So I eat 4 times a day.
I'll have a shake to get more protein in
Right, that's
if necessary, and I'm on the go. So it's like, I'll use it as a kind of to fill gaps.
Totally. That's a great way. That's what I tell
Yeah.
my clients. If you don't feel hungry, just drink a shake,
Yeah.
just try to get it in you.
Yeah.
But so I try to get in about 100 to 110 grams of protein per day.
Yeah, so you follow the gram
been
per,
doing,
per
I'm macro girl.
weight.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, all right, so you have your first meal an hour from waking up.
Right.
You have another meal 3 hours
3
later.
to 4
3 to
hours.
4.
If that 4 hours has come, I already start feeling it because I've been doing this so long.
Yeah.
It's like putting a baby on a feeding schedule.
Right.
You know that if you let your baby sleep for just 20 or 30 minutes later, he or she's going to
Throws
wake up
everything off.
miserable,
Yeah.
and you are going to be miserable parents. So it's the same thing for yourself. Like, feed yourself before you get hangry.
Right.
Feed yourself before you have a wet diaper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Smart, totally.
It's so my body is accustomed, just like yours is now, is accustomed to being fed
Right.
every 3 to 4 hours. If I don't, I get very hangry. So I got on the train yesterday to come into the city. I knew that I wasn't going to get to my daughter's apartment until 9.
Right.
I was already hungry because it had been too long.
Sure.
So I made myself a sandwich to eat on the train.
Yeah.
So when I got to her apartment, I wouldn't be eating at 9,
Yeah,
10
so you
o'clock
plan.
at night.
You're
you
really
have to
planning
plan
your
ahead.
meals, yeah.
And that is the hardest part for everybody, right? Planning ahead. But would you do a presentation without planning ahead?
Totally.
Would you do a podcast
It's
without
priorities,
planning ahead?
right? I
What's,
mean, like,
what's important to you?
100%. And the people that follow these rituals and routines are the ones that are in the best
Well,
shape.
it comes down to everything,
Yeah.
right? It's discipline.
It is.
It's commitment.
Yeah,
it's
discipline.
consistency.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
people don't want to hear that
Yeah.
word. They don't want to feel like they're being restricted.
Sure.
Well, what's your goal?
Yeah.
What's your goal?
Yeah. And
I'm tough.
well, you have to be
I'm
to get
really
good
tough.
results.
I really try to sit back and say, oh, okay, it's all right, but I just can't because I know what works.
And it's not easy, right? Like, I think doing difficult things is how people excel in life. And I think that people are it's becoming okay to not really do difficult things and be convenience driven. And I mean, just look at, the way that the world kind of markets and portrays alcohol and all the things, right? That
Right.
can really throw you off.
Right.
Do you drink?
Not really. I
Yeah.
got really sick with salmonella food poisoning
Okay.
last year. I was in the hospital for 3 days, and
wow.
I lost my appetite for. Not that I was a big drinker,
Yeah.
but I was that girl that if there was music and dancing,
Sure, you're having a
I did a
cocktail,
few
couple.
shots of tequila.
Yeah.
Me
too.
My
I love
daughters just
that.
drink tequila
Yeah,
because
me
of
too.
me. So, but I just don't.
It's also like the fitness alcohol. It's like
It seems like it is.
It 100% is.
Right.
And my friends in the space were always like only drinking tequila. 'cause
Right, it's like
better
the
for you.
cleanest. It's like the cleanest.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And talking about life is hard. Did you hear Tom Brady's speech?
I did not, but I have to.
It's very, very good.
Yeah.
And I'm a Giants fan.
Yeah, me too.
So, but I did listen to a part of it, and he said, life is hard. We have to do hard things to be good at what we do. And that's what it is. And that's what I try, on my Instagram page. It's trying to educate my followers, and also on my podcast, trying to educate them, empowering them,
Yeah.
but also entertain and inspire.
Yeah.
So you got to have a little bit of entertainment on there. At
Yeah.
least that's how I feel.
Your personality,
Right.
yeah.
They've got to see a part of me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to just go, eat protein. Don't be afraid of complex carbohydrates. Get your good fats in, and there.
That's just
it's
boring. Yeah.
It's boring. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to listen to that.
Totally.
Yeah.
So you've been strength training for 40 plus years.
Yep.
You've been eating this way for 30 plus years.
Right.
And let's talk about hormones, because I'm trying to learn as much as possible. A lot of my friends are on TRT. I have not been on top of my labs, and I get blood work tomorrow on Thursday.
Oh, good.
And the kick goes off to Gabrielle, and I can't wait to to see what's in store for me there. So talk about that. So because you're into like preventative, starting early, and I'm not very educated on the space, but it's very popular to talk about.
It's so popular, and I'm not a hormone expert, but I can share my journey. And my journey is that, you know, I went through menopause at 49, almost 50 years old. I was competing on world stages.
Is that like the typical age? Is that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's where I am now. That's where,
Right. So perimenopause kicked in my late 30s.
Okay.
So 38.
What does that mean for people like myself
is
who don't know
before
exactly what that is?
You actually, so it takes 1 year, 365 days without getting your period.
Okay.
On that 365th day until the next day, 24 hours, you're in menopause. Menopause is only 24 hours. The precursor to that is perimenopause, which can start in your 30s. And then as soon as that 24 hours is over, post. And that's where we spend most of our life. Right? So from the time you might be in your mid to late 30s until the time you die, your hormones are unbalanced. So the reason we don't have a lot of research about this is because for years and years, 50, 70 years ago, women were only living until they were 55.
Sure.
So there wasn't any research. They just thought women were crazy.
Yeah.
Like, here's some medication to medicate you so you don't burn down the house and you don't kill your husband and, you know,
Yeah.
So now there's so much research, and because of social media, I know I sound so old because of that. I was listening to Gary Vee the other day, and he was talking about AI and talking about how we used to talk about the internet as it was a thing. He said that's how AI is going to be. It's just going to be a thing.
Do you know Gary?
I don't, and I really want to meet him.
Yeah.
I know.
You need to meet him.
I need to meet him.
He needs to meet you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I really just feel pulled to him. So that's interesting that this is all coming up. So anyway, so all of the women who are in their 50s right now have that wonderful social platform of talking about menopause and educating women that are following them and men. So in your 30s, what happens is you start feeling symptoms of menopause, which could be night sweats, mood swings, hot flashes, all of those things, maybe a low libido. And you go to your gynecologist, which is what I did, and he threw some estrogen at me. He goes, these will help with the hot flashes. Well, they really didn't. Meantime, I'm competing on world stages. I won back-to-back world bikini shows.
Amazing.
At 49, in the midst of menopause.
That's crazy.
In the midst. So when I hear women going, like now, the Gen X talking about menopause, and they're complaining and complaining. I'm like, stop it. You have so much more here at your fingertips than I ever did.
Sure.
So, but I'm thrilled that they are educating. And then what happens is perimenopause, and then that leads up to, okay, your periods are spotty, you're getting it for a day, you're getting it for a week, it's heavy, it's light, and then you stop getting it for a full year.
Yeah.
Then you're in menopause.
Got it.
The next day, it's postmenopausal baby. And so what a lot of these women are talking about could be postmenopause, but here I'm talking at 63, like, hey, ladies, because all of the women in their 60s, they still have these negative ideas about what hormone replacement therapy is. It used to be a lot of synthetic hormones. No synthetic hormones. We don't do synthetics. I do bioidentical hormones. And I've been doing it. I got into that 10-year window, so you don't want to wait too long to be treated. So I went through it at 49, 50. I started hormone replacement therapy at 60, and I feel wonderful. Like, nothing hurts. Like, I feel great.
So let's back up for a second.
Yeah.
So because
it's a lot to take in.
But it's also interesting because you've been so ahead of the curve, right? You're doing things that are almost like
that women my age are not doing.
Well, definitely not. But I'm saying that people even today are not on board with, so to speak. And you were making those decisions in a time that really nobody was.
Right.
So, which is amazing, because how did you figured this out on your own?
Yeah.
And I have a few very good doctor friends that are trying to marry the way that medicine is, traditionally obviously handled and how overall, complete wellness today,
Right.
how you can integrate those things and it's way more modern, right? But you were doing that naturally, including strength training, like at a time when women were not really like bodybuilders, but you were in a sense a bodybuilder. I mean, you were competing.
Well, but it was bikini.
Okay.
So bikini's much different. You're in the stripper heels, you're in the blinged out bikini, you're not doing poses, you're just prancing around on stage and doing your walk, which is the walk that I do.
Yeah, but you have to train pretty aggressively to get in that shape and then win.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you walk on stage, the assumption is you are going to be the fittest you've ever been in your entire life.
Yeah.
What I love about bikini competitions, fitness, is that you're bringing beauty and strength. So you have your masculine energy, you have your feminine energy, and it brings
Marrying
this beautiful yin-yang on stage, and you have this beautiful fit body that has curves but muscles, and it shows this beautiful strength about a woman.
Which is amazing because, again, like now women realize that strength training and eating protein is the way, when everybody was so concerned about being jacked and looking like a man.
So I started competing at 47. All of my friends told me I was too old.
Yeah.
My daughters were concerned, they were little, that I was going to look like a man. And I had no support from anybody. But this is when I didn't allow fear to get in my way. I said, no, I know this is meant for me. I don't know how I'm going to use it. I don't know how it's going to come into my life, but I feel like I need to do this. And I didn't care what anybody said. And I used to be a people pleaser.
Yeah.
And when I would go out with my friends in the suburbs, they were all like, why do you put chicken on your salad? Why are you asking for oil and vinegar on the side? This is the 90s, and then 2000s. I got divorced in 2002. So I was just like, let it rip. I lost all my friends in the divorce. So I had no support going into these competitions. All I had was negativity, and I was my coach's oldest client.
That's why you love Gary Vee.
I guess so. Yeah.
100%. I do too. Yeah.
And so I listened to my intuition, and it just led to me opening up my own studio, having great women in my life, doing Sports Illustrated
What
swim.
year was that you opened your studio?
2010. So I had the confidence from the 2 back-to-back wins. Like nobody in the Masters division.
The confidence.
No. So when I went to my coach, and she had a close relationship with Oxygen magazine, which is now no longer.
Sure.
I said, can you get me like on the cover now? And she's like, Harrison, nobody wants to see an older woman like you on the cover of a magazine. She was just 2 years younger than me. And she was like, no, Harrison, they want to see the 20-somethings. That's who buys the magazine. So I was so ahead of my time, I couldn't get anybody to buy into what I was doing. So
Even though you were winning competitions.
I was winning competitions.
That's crazy.
I couldn't get anybody to buy in. And remember, what's her name? Who is the editor of Oxygen magazine? Toscarino. Okay, that's his wife.
Yeah.
He passed away.
Yeah.
She was maybe a year younger than me, and she competed against me. And of course, all the judges knew her.
Sure.
I think she beat me in that show, like by 1. It was just ridiculous. But anyway, but she kept watching me, my poses backstage, and her husband kept telling her, look at her, look at her. But yeah, I was just way ahead of my time. And that's been the problem, quote unquote, problem with me, is that I've been way ahead. Even like posting, I'm postmenopausal. That video got 27 million views.
Jeez.
Because I said I'm postmenopausal. And people were like, I thought, okay, Jodi.
You can't say that.
That's an icky word to men. And a lot of my followers at the time were men a year ago. I converted my followers from 90% men to 40% women and 60% men. All women in the 40 to 60 plus. It was just crazy because I was doing what I wanted to. I was being fearlessly authentic. Yeah, and ahead of my time, and I don't know what to do with it. It's just
it's just crazy though, because you've broken a lot of barriers, and I'm seeing your content, but I think obviously the algorithm's feeding me like-mindedness and health and fitness and
Right.
wellness, because
Me
that's
too.
really the bulk of the stuff that where I spend my time, and I'm scrolling, and who I'm connected to, and all the things. And I feel like you more people need to know what you're doing, because you would have so many more raving fans,
Right.
obviously, because everybody in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s is super into wellness.
Right, and they weren't when I was working
Not
out.
at
Everybody
all.
was like, why are you...
You were like the weird one.
I was the weird one. I was the one asking for protein on my food, and I was the one, they're like, why do you work out? Why do you work out? Like, you're gonna get bulky like a man. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Because I knew my body so well. I danced when I was younger. I rode crew. I just knew my body so well. I knew what I was capable of doing, and I knew this body was going to help me get a message out there one day.
It's fascinating, because some of the mental blocks that I have, women that I know also still eat salads and handcuff themselves to treadmills all day. And my wife is a dietitian, nutritionist, RD, really, really smart and obviously intelligent in nutrition, and works out like a lunatic, 5:30, 6 a.m. every day religiously, which got me to buy into that lifestyle.
Right.
While I was a train wreck. I was quote unquote working out, and I'd go to the gym and I'd sit on the bench on my phone, and,
Right.
so on and so
Yeah,
forth.
I know those guys.
Yeah, of course. And she, just the consistency and the discipline, just rubbed off on me. And however, now, I love, it is part of my job, but I love trying new things. And I'm obsessed with anything that I could try. And if it makes me feel good, I'll incorporate it into my life or not. She's so regimented into the same thing every single day, eating the same exact way, no meat, but she will eat her protein and get it from eggs and
Right.
All the other things. But there's definitely, not using her as an example because she's not the example, but there's definitely still the mindset for women that you just need to do cardio and you
Drives
need to
me
not
crazy.
eat.
Drives
Yeah.
me crazy.
Yeah.
How much cardio do I do? Maybe 20 minutes, 3 days a week. Because I eat
What does that cardio consist of?
walking, running on the treadmill.
Yeah.
Maybe on my Peloton, but
Yeah.
I despise cardio.
Yeah.
I've never liked it. I was never a runner. When I was in my 40s and 50s, I did a lot of HIIT workouts.
Sure.
No, I don't need to do them anymore.
They
I
were
just
also,
don't need to do them.
I went through a major hit phase, and I think everyone kind of did because it was just the fun, cool thing
Sure.
to do, especially in group fitness.
And it is effective. It's
Yeah,
really effective.
definitely.
Yeah.
I did Orange Theory this morning. I'll just, and my friends started Orange Theory, so I was involved in Orange Theory from the inception.
Right.
So I'll always have a special place in my heart for it, and it gets me to run. I actually like running for the fact that I want to, I'm competitive with myself, and again, just feeling good where I'm able to run 3-4 miles and not breathe heavy. I feel good about
great.
that, right? And that was not always the case. I literally just started focusing on that, and it's working. And it's all about the consistency, right? So you do things
Yes.
often; they're not as difficult. But and fitness is definitely going through a transition. Group fitness is not what it was pre-pandemic. I spent a lot of my life, obviously, talking about this and just in the space.
Yeah.
So first off, your studio, talk to me about that.
So I started the studio 2010, and then it was funny because in the new space that I opened a beautiful space in 2017, and I thought, how much longer do I want to do this? And I thought, well, maybe I'll just do it until I'm for 3 more years. And I thought, I'm getting a better deal on the lease. I'll do it for 5 years. And then the
COVID.
pandemic.
Yeah.
And I thought, son of a... Jodi. So what happened in 2019? I got married. I
Congratulations.
did Sports Illustrated Swim.
Amazing.
Made global news with that, making it to the top 60 and getting more faces, like eyes on me, than any of the women who made it to the top 16. To the point where my daughter, the publicist, was like, the company she was working for at the time said they'd never seen organic growth like this. They had never seen anything like this. I was on Good Morning America. They were texting me while I was in line to sign up to compete to get us be in Sports Illustrated Swim. Anyway, so after that, that's when I started my podcast, but I lost my interest in coming back to my small studio and just having an impact on the women in my town or the surrounding towns. I was like, I remember seeing all the women in the audience at Good Morning America and going, oh my God, like I can make a global impact. Like, why are you playing small, Jodi? This is where you should be headed. Then, COVID hit. And then we opened up the studio again in July. But everybody was getting sick.
Yeah.
My instructors' kids were getting sick. They were getting sick. Their husbands were getting sick. They made it so difficult to run a business that in 2021, I got rid of group fitness. I said, this is too much of a headache, too much. I can't do all of this. And just stuck to one-on-one. And that's what I love to do.
Yeah.
That's what I love to do. And then in 2022, my lease was up and I said, goodbye.
Yeah.
And I said, I never want to talk about fitness ever again in my life. And then a year later, I missed it.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, how do I do this online? So I introduced my Hot and Healthy Accelerator program this past May, and that was the first time I've ever done anything online. And so that's I want to grow that.
So how did people participate in that?
It was just, virtual.
Yeah.
And I just don't feel that, I can't have everybody in person. It's like
Of
different
course.
doing a podcast
Yeah.
in person versus that way. So my dream would be to do like pop-ups all over, either for fitness and nutrition, but like
Sure.
the Hot and Healthy Accelerator, doing it all over the country, and
totally.
just educating women on hormones, nutrition, fitness, and understanding what each one of their needs is, and really motivating them, because it's hard to motivate somebody through a screen.
Totally.
It's very hard. They don't feel my energy as much. I
And you
can't
don't feel theirs, yeah.
It's really theirs that I don't feel.
Of course.
And that's where I make the impact.
So if somebody listening wants to sign up for that, how do they do that?
Well, they could just go to my website, JodiHarrisonBauer.com, or they could DM me. That's really the best place, because right now I'm changing the website because that part is over,
Sure.
so we're updating it. DM me at Jodi Harrison Bauer on Instagram. That would be the best place to reach out to me, because we're going to do it in the fall. And then I have the app that I've put aside and haven't done anything with yet, but it's geared towards women over 60.
That's amazing.
Because there isn't anything out there for women over 60. They get mushed into the 40s and the 50s.
Well, I think it's, listen, the fitness wellness craze now, even though you're way ahead of the curve and you're in the small minority of people in your age range, and by the way, that's like your actual age. I'm sure if you got tested, I was talking to Ann about this yesterday, I forget what it's called. It's life something. It's a life something test that tells you
what your actual age is, not your chronological age or biological age.
Have you done that?
No, and I'm dying to do it.
You have to do that.
Well, I had a brain scan.
The world needs to know what your age is.
Well, ask Ann. I don't know who Ann is, but ask her.
Ann, the founder of Solid Core.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah,
I forgot that.
No, don't be sorry. And you guys need to meet.
Okay, I'm dying to know what it is, because I was having headaches for a while. I had a brain scan done. I said to the neurologist, I'm fine. Yeah. And I said to the neurologist, can you tell how old I am from this brain scan? He goes, you're 25. I'm like, oh, forget it. Goodbye. Forget it. That's not what I wanted to hear.
Do you know who Dr. Amen is?
Yes.
Yeah,
love him.
Right? Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah.
He's great.
I have a few friends that are really close to him. And
I don't know him personally. How old is he?
I don't know.
He's in his 70s?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, because he's been doing, like, when he learned, I guess, when he was studying medicine, that there were, if somebody had something wrong with them mentally or whatever it was, that there was no such thing as like scanning the brain. The way if you had something wrong with your heart, obviously you go right to that, right? So why weren't they doing that for the brain? And that's my understanding of how he kind of like got into that.
Yeah, no, he's great.
Yeah.
He just gives it to you straight. And that's the whole thing. Is one of the things that I talk to these women about is like, I'm going to give you the no BS blueprint to how you can get hot and healthy.
Yeah.
And I asked the women, why did you sign up for this? They're like, because we want to be able to walk like you.
Right.
We want to feel hot. So women want to feel hot. My daughter told me it was a corny name, Lexi. She said, that's a really corny name, Mom. I go, leave me alone.
Well, it's
the name that works for me.
You have to speak to your audience,
right?
Like,
right.
You're not trying to, like,
I'm not trying to sound like I'm a millennial.
Everything I do is based on the ideal customer, right? So it has to feel genuine to you.
Right.
Not to a 23-year-old that like wants to use the word obsessed or whatever.
Right. And I could have used the word get fit as AF.
Right, exactly.
But I thought, some women are really offended by swearing.
Right.
So I thought, don't do that.
Yeah.
So that's really, I want to keep reaching those women. I want to empower them. And for everybody listening, I want to empower the women who are listening right now to know that it's not too late and they're not too old. And I know that sounds really corny and you've seen it all over, but I've been saying it for a long time. And you're stronger than you think, your mind and body. And that's what I learned so much when I got into my 40s and I went through a divorce was, if I wasn't working out the way I was, I would have never been able to get through my divorce.
Yeah.
I had to dig really deep and I realized, wow, I'm not just working my body, I'm working my mind.
Totally.
And I used to talk to my clients about that as well. When we didn't have the word mindset and we didn't have the word, meditating's been around forever, journaling. But that's where my gift is in the mindset.
Yeah.
Clients come in going, I need to lose 25 pounds. So they're working out, I have them jumping around doing whatever it is that I would have a client do. But I was getting into her head.
Totally.
And she would leave feeling like $1 million because she just kicked her own ass. She did it.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. I empowered her to do it.
Yeah.
She didn't know she was that strong, mentally and physically.
Yeah, and I think that same for me. Like the quite honestly, the only reason that I do the physical things I do are for the mental benefit. Like for me, the looking good, feeling good is like the byproduct of it.
Right.
But I lost my mom to cancer in my early 20s. And thank you. Yeah. And that was like so catastrophic that like I have never felt better than when I started to learn that, numbing yourself by drinking and partying and not wanting to, just escaping reality, right? Like I never felt great. It was until I really figured out that moving your body is literally equates to happiness. Like if I don't move, yesterday I had a crazy day. I had an early morning event that I had to be at. I was in a hotel. I just couldn't get the workout in. It's like one day every 3 months where I just can't make it happen in the morning.
Right.
Because I schedule everything around making sure that I can get a workout in the morning.
That's so great that you do that.
Because I have to. That's the point.
Right. It's for your mental wellness, right?
I can't function and be on top of my game if I don't do it.
I love that.
But that's where I think people don't realize how important it is for your mental health. And for me, it's been the biggest game changer. And I also I feel good. Like and that's why I do the things that I do, just to really feel good. And it was tough for me initially to realize that self-care is not selfish. Like you have to be selfish on some level. And
people did call me selfish.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They did call me selfish. And I knew, again, something inside of me said, this isn't selfish. This is going to be good for me in the long run. So what do you do for working out?
So I go through like phases just to, typically I strength train, call it 3 days a week. I'm on an Orange Theory kick right now because it's easy for me to get into a 6 or 7 a.m. class, bang it out. And
you can kind of turn off your brain. You don't have to think about what you need to do. Yeah.
So I'll literally I won't do Dave Long, CEO of Orange Theory, if you're hearing this, I apologize in advance. But, after I do the treadmill portion, I'll do my own workout, in the floor portion where, because there's a lot of movements that I just don't feel like doing or, I don't necessarily think that I need to do them that day, right? So today I just did a shoulder workout that I would do at the gym with dumbbells, right? And I didn't move around and do a bunch of movements. So I'm really into that right now because it condenses time for me. Like I can go in for an hour and I'm in and out.
And you're done.
And
you're done.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like you feel good.
Yeah.
You feel, and that's the feeling that I think most people, the reason they keep coming back to it, right, is because you feel good. Totally. I want to feel that hit of dopamine again. That's your different hit of dopamine. Totally. And it lasts for a long time throughout the day.
Yeah.
And do you like the HIIT part? Do you like the strength training part? What's your favorite?
Yeah, so I it's funny because that changes. I feel like I just constantly evolve.
Oh, I love that.
Life is really seasons, and you know, I think like Orange Theory for me in business and then life was like this entry, like this gateway drug to the fitness space for me. So I've always felt connected to Orange Theory because that was 2010 when you opened your studio. We started with Orange Theory. That was when the company started. And from there, you know, now I work with so many brands that do so many different things.
Right.
I want to be well-rounded, right? So like
Absolutely.
I know that I need to do more yoga, not because I necessarily believe that it's going to make my body more what I want my body to be, but it's going to make my mind, you know, I'm going to be more intelligent and more experienced as a result of these things, or more centered and feel more at peace. When people ask me today, like, what is success to you? It's literally feeling peaceful and fulfilled, right? Yeah. But I can also, it's a luxury to say that, right? Because at a certain point, you know, the monetary things start to mean less. Now, having said that, a lot of your problems go away when you have money.
Right.
So, you know, I'm not saying that money doesn't matter, but at the same time, I think it's really important to feel like you're at peace with yourself. And that's just my trauma.
No, and I'm glad you said that about the money thing, is because so many people say don't focus on the money. And it's not that you have to be totally focused on the money, but it does make your life easier. That's just the bottom line. 100%. That is reality. And hopefully that money is going to give you security and freedom.
Totally.
Which is what we all want. We want the freedom to be able to work out whenever we want, do a podcast whenever we want. Be with the people that we really want to be with. You know? Yeah,
life gets good when you're able to spend the time how you want to with the people you want. And meeting people that you don't know that have like-minded, you know, lifestyles that you can learn from. Right. And it's funny because my wife and I talk about it all the time. Like, I want to be around people that I can sharpen my axe with. You know, like I have no interest, even if I love you for 35 years and we are really close friends and family and so on and so forth. After an hour of catching up, like I'm gonna go work out, go for a walk, do these things that I enjoy and need to do. And if you want to sit and drink and hang out and shut your brain off because you're not happy in life, do you. Go like it's all good. But you know.
I know. I stopped listening to people a long time ago. That was hard for me because I was a people pleaser for such a long time, but it just all shifted in my 40s. Yeah, because you've got to find your own happiness. I was on a retreat last week, and we spent 2 days in silence.
What was it?
It was at Ariel BVI. It's owned by a woman you should know. Her name is Brittany Turner. She had accumulated an incredible amount of wealth by the time she was 24 years old through real estate investments, and she bought an island. So she's like buddies with like crazy. Richard Branson and what's his name from Microsoft? Why can't I think of his name? Bill Gates. He has an island. Well, she's the only one who owns an island in the BVI. There's Richard Branson. He's got his island there, right? And then Bill Gates lives in BVI. He has a home there. So. But the 2 days of silence was, at first I thought, I'll just go. It was incredible. Have you ever done that?
No, it's funny because I was sitting at a table 2 nights ago and then the conversation was silent retreats. And we were making jokes about it, you know, because it's easy to, right? But having said that, I mean, I know that it would be like life-changing for me 100%.
It was. And I just said that to my daughter. I said, because she saw me, I was in the city last week too, and she saw me right afterwards, and I was just sort of like just emotionally hungover from the whole thing. And so I couldn't really put my thoughts into words.
And disconnected and like trying to reconnect.
Right. Like when they gave us our phones back, like I had to hand in my laptop too. They're like, Jodi, we know you have a laptop. And I'm like, oh, here. But when I got those things back, and I spent actually 2.5 days silent, I thought, I don't even want to look at my phone. I don't want to look at my emails. It really took a long time. I didn't really start feeling normal until yesterday.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
So today's a week. But it was great. I would encourage anybody to do it.
Walk me through the process of like the first hour being in silence to the second day.
Yeah.
What are the emotions that you went through, and how does it actually work? I'm very curious.
Yeah, so the only people who talk are the hosts. There are 2 hosts, and they guide us through everything. And we had a ceremony by the water, and then we went to bed. And I didn't have a book. I didn't have my Top Chef show to watch. I thought, shit, what am I going to do? How am I going to fall asleep? This is what I'm used to. But guess what? I was exhausted, and I fell asleep. And then the way they woke us up, now they put alarm clocks in our room, and then they used a gong to wake us up, a very sweet gong that woke us up. And we had breakfast in silence. It was weird. So you're like first looking down a little bit.
Do you feel a little insane?
A little bit,
you know,
a
like
little bit, but because there were so many, well, there were only like 9 women on this, but we were all doing it together.
Sure.
So we would hug. So instead of talking and saying, hey, Jay, how are you? Did you sleep okay last night? I gave you a hug. Right. And that was my way of communicating with you. Or maybe we had a delicious drink for breakfast. It was not non-alcoholic, but like maybe the shot of whatever we had that morning was delicious, and we'd go. So it was a new way of communicating with people, and you felt the love. Like we drew, I did equine therapy, I rode a horse. And the food was delicious. The chef was amazing. Everything about it.
Did anyone tap out?
I did a little bit. So I'll tell you I cheated a little bit, because there was one woman who was like going like this. She was whispering, and it was her daughter who was one of the hosts. She's like, "Mom, you can't talk." She actually was laughing at it. She's the woman who owns the island. And that night we canoed in canoes and kayaks, and I've never done it before. And I'm a little afraid of the water. Like, I like to see the water, but I don't like to go in it. Sure. And one of the girls that I went in it with was laughing out loud. She just couldn't contain herself. She was so full of joy. And we were just laughing. And the 2 girls that were out there together came back. They go, you guys were talking. Like, come on. Like,
no one saw. No one heard.
Right. Like, don't tell anybody.
We were in a canoe.
So the few moments we had, were fine. But it was really a test. It was really a test.
Have you done cold plunges and saunas?
I do saunas. Yeah. I
hate the cold.
I can't. Yeah. I just can't. I'm like, I get down to my waist and I'm like, I run back out. Yeah. And I know it's a mental thing. Yeah. And I pride myself, but I just can't do it. How about you?
Oh, yeah. Every day. Oh. Yeah. And I'm asking because, have you heard of Othership?
No.
So my friends just opened a place in Flatiron called Othership, which is they're from Toronto. They have it there.
Okay.
And it's been like a long time coming for them to get open here. And they had a friends and family activation, and we went. And it's the most beautiful space, and it's like, I mean,
I want to go.
Oh, you have to.
But do I have to plunge?
You do. Oh. And that's why I'm asking, because I'm like, this is what it reminds me of. Because initially, and I have a sauna at my house, and
I love saunas.
I do too. Oh. But and I've learned to love getting in cold water again because of the mental toughness.
I know.
For me, through COVID, have you ever heard of 75 Hard?
Yes.
Yeah, so I did 75 Hard in COVID, and that's how I weaned myself off not drinking. I already started to slow down drinking, but being very social and in groups of people and coming out of the space of partying hard and all the fun stuff, all of my friends are like, if I'm not drinking at a birthday or at this, it's like, what do you, come on, so I used.
You made them feel uncomfortable, right?
Yeah, I mean, that started to happen, the mirror effect, where it's why is Jay, he looks great, he feels great, he's doing all these things. And I think that, puts a mirror up, obviously.
Sure.
And that's tough, because I want people to be happy doing whatever it is they do, no judgment.
Right.
And, But for me, it became a great excuse where I was doing this challenge, right? So like I'd be weeks into it, and even people as close as my sister, who's not a big drinker, but like on a night out we're all hanging out, would be like, just start over. Like you have I'm like, I'm like 3 weeks into this.
Like, no
Do you understand
way.
what
Like,
this is?
no.
It's maniacal every day, right?
Is.
So, and then it started to, like, that really impacted me. Like my baseline from there became almost 75 hard. Like my days, I'm checking the boxes every day, doing a lot of the things, not obviously as maniacal. And if I miss them, I miss them. I give myself grace.
Good.
So cold plunging came into my life through a couple of my homies who were like lunatics. And I got to the point where in the winter, I had an ice barrel in my backyard, so I would just come out first thing in the morning, straight through the winter every day, walk in my back. It could be snowing. I'd have to literally take a hammer and break the ice on the thing and jump in it every morning to start my day.
God bless you.
But you can do it, and it is mental, and I feel like I understand. I get it. But sauna like feels pretty damn good until it's like really hot and you're in for a long period of time.
Right. I'll only stay in for like 15 minutes until I start a little bit of lightheadedness, and then I'm like, okay, Jodi, it's time to get out. If I went right from a sauna into a cold plunge, I think I could do that.
Yeah.
I think I could go. I just went to a place nearby me that is like a dry cold. So it's called cryo or
cryo. Yeah, cryotherapy.
Yeah, cryotherapy. So
not as effective.
It isn't?
No.
But even the thought of that scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to be cold.
Yeah.
I'd rather be hot.
Yeah, but you know what it is?
Know.
It's I get that, but it's really, and they explained it because their water is very cold.
Like how
and that's
cold?
coming from me, like going out in the backyard with snow. Their water is like way colder than like a normal cold plunge is typically set, like a cold one is like in the low 40s. Like that's cold.
Okay.
Theirs is at 33, which is like brutal cold.
Yeah.
And basically they were explaining that they want people in othership to experience a very difficult thing, and because when you get out of that water, like it's euphoric.
I'm sure.
I mean, you are like, that's the replacement of dopamine for me.
Right, you're like, woo!
Like if I jump out of a cold, that's why like I work out right after it. My body's freezing, I'm alert, and like if I go for a run after that, I'm running like it's crazy. It's so you have to try it, and you have to go to Othership. It's amazing.
Okay, I'll have Lexi come with me.
Yeah, 100%. You should try it. I could set you up. They're awesome.
That would mean I would have to really go.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay,
We're gonna make that
maybe
happen.
I'll have you hold me accountable. I don't know.
Totally.
Just my daughter in Miami has the sauna and the plunge, and I jump. She just laughs at me. I go in, I come out, I go in, I go. She goes, Mom, just stay there for like. How long are you in there for?
I mean, when I started, it was about staying in there for 4 minutes, like that type of stuff.
4 minutes.
Yeah. So at Othership, it's 2-minute increments.
Because it's so cold.
They're not. They don't. I don't think they want you in that water longer than that. Like they're not going to tell you to stay in longer than that.
Right.
So but 2 minutes in that cold for somebody who's never done it before. Like everybody completed it. I was very impressed.
Wow.
It's probably the adrenaline of like
totally.
Right. But we digress.
Yes.
So where can everybody find you?
They can find me on Instagram, Jodi Harrison Bauer, on my website. But really, the best place, I'm on Instagram all the time. I was on TikTok for a while, but there are so many fake accounts that look like mine. Like people have created profiles that using my face.
How flattering.
Yes, how flattering. But in the meantime, I've reached out to TikTok. I'm like, can you fix this? And I'm like, you know what? I have 143,000 followers there. I have I think close to 400,000 on Instagram or something like that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And
I'm with a celebrity.
Oh, please. And so, that's where I am all the time.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Are you on Facebook at all?
I'm really not.
Me either. And I feel like that's a miss.
Yeah. I study, and we can continue this conversation, but I've been fortunate enough to meet Gary very 2016, and I started a vlog. So I, like Brittany, who you met.
Oh, wow.
And she would just follow me with a camera essentially, and we'd put out an episode every Friday morning.
It's great.
So it was great, but I did it for, we 250 episodes, weekly episodes. So it was like, and again, discipline and consistency. Hard. And the best part was everybody talked shit about it, right? So like I'm in technically commercial real estate.
Right.
It's like so like traditional and like suit and tie and all this stuff.
Right.
And here I am like walking around with somebody following me with a video camera, walking into meetings and not even caring.
Yep.
And that's when it was fun. Like it was
Right,
so fun that
it
people
just
didn't
flowed.
understand
Right,
it. It was
right.
like, who are you? What are you doing?
You're like, I'm Jay. I'm whoever
like,
I want to be. Leave me alone.
And by the way, like that changed my life.
See?
Like,
because that was your intuition.
It was, and it was honestly like the best part about it was I knew that I'm a marketer at heart, right? Like I'm also decent at sales, but I'm a marketer, and I know that you have to be top of mind. Like if people don't know who you are, like how the hell are they going to do business with you? Right? So like love or hate Grant Cardone or any of these big marketing people, the only reason you can hate them is because you see them and you know them. Right. And if you're not putting yourself out there, you're again, this is
you
all.
You have to put
and
yourself
you're doing
out
that,
there.
Yeah.
Well, when I came back from this retreat, I go, I don't think I'm going to do it anymore.
I'm done.
I was like, why do I have to do this? And then, I was like, okay, Jodi, back to reality. Yeah. Let's go. But with a renewed mind of like where I want to take it.
And you have to iterate. You have to evolve.
Totally.
You can't do the same thing you've been doing forever.
No, like I can't keep doing the walk. So I stepped away from the walk. Even when I was on the retreat, they're like, can you show us the walk? Can you just show us the walk? And that's from my, my competing days, my walk.
Right.
But I wanted to get away from the walk a little bit because I just didn't want to be known for the walk. I wanted to be known for more things, more in-depth things. Yeah. So I do throw the walk in there because that's what people want to see is the walk. But, just I love where it's going right now. It feels really good to me. Yeah, it feels really, awesome. Really good.
That's what it's about. That's
where
the
I'm
only
really,
way you can keep it up.
Like where I'm really being myself. Yeah. I'm really being fearlessly authentic. So amazing. It's, my podcast. You can follow me on my podcast, Fearlessly Authentic.
There you go.
There you go.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, amazing.
I just wanna have peace. Pay for the bill, let them take my card, never see the receipt. Good health, we proud, but everybody around prosperity. I just wanna have peace.